Hey everybody, it's Dr. Law. I wanted to just give you a video um, for the exposure therapy and a few thoughts that I have about it on where it would not work. I know this week many of you are talking about how exposure therapy works, how it would help with anxiety and things like that. Several years ago, I was working with a client who had been through some severe trauma, had a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder and major depressive disorder. And he was really struggling. The cause of it was that on his work site, and he worked on uh, oil derricks and natural gas derricks, so where the pipelines begin and where they're drilled, and he found his son dead at the work site due to an industrial accident that could have been prevented. Um, he performed CPR on his own son and was obviously unsuccessful in reviving his son. So his symptoms were pretty severe. In the treatment, we did several things. The first step was to help him decrease depression so he could get a little bit more functional in his life, and then so he could address the trauma. So we did that with CBT and with person-centered counseling. And then when it came to the trauma, we did eye movement desensitization and reprocessing and a few other things. I ended up working with him for quite some time. Towards the end of his treatment, he had a legal battle with the company that he was blaming for his son's wrongful death. And I was asked to come in as an expert witness and do a deposition, which is the interview you do before you go to trial. And so there I was with two attorneys who were for the company and the one attorney that was for my client. And so obviously I was there for my client, obviously. But there was a question they had. They said, why is it that you didn't use exposure therapy? Why didn't you expose him to maybe pictures of an oil derrick or of his work site? Or why didn't you take him to the work site to help him work through the trauma? And this is when, it was a legal battle versus a mental health and a psychology battle, where I explained to him that the idea of exposure therapy with this man and with his acute trauma and how intense it was, that attempting exposure therapy of such a type as they were suggesting would have been very detrimental to him. And they asked, well, how do you know that, And I explained to them, well, because of how the rest of the treatment is gone. With eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, he was almost unresponsive. He was almost just ineffective. With other treatment methodologies, we had only a little bit of progress. Depression levels went down a little bit. He was able to function, have a job, things like that. But PTSD was never able to go away. And so I explained if EMDR or the other methods we had been using could not even touch it, then what would have happened with exposure therapy is a complete decompensation and a recurrence of symptoms once again. And so that was an example of where it would have been too intense and way too much for this man. That doesn't always happen. That's something that does happen occasionally. I know that I did give an example of where I used exposure therapy also in this week. So I wanted to share this one with you all this week. I hope you're having an excellent week. I apologize for my voice. I've been sick, and it is what it is. So I hope you're all having a good week, and I look forward to interacting with you.